Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Snow White with the Red Hair, chapter 125. When we last left our heroes, they were at the same point they were in yesterday's video, because yesterday was just this random little checking in on characters, basically at random. The Burgat twins have just sort of come to the Mastermind's house, and have revealed that they know everything, even if we still kind of don't. There's a lot of, that's the scene where it really feels like I wish I knew the whole scope of this plot. But anyway, Shirayuki, Obi, and Eisetsu find out about the greenhouse and are on their way there, but Kageya, Ryu, and the bandits are already there. The bandits force Kageya to brew an antidote at the cost, while threatening Ryu's life. She does. They decide to kill Ryu anyway, but Kageya tries to burn the paper the recipe is written on, and when she does, that somehow knocks out the bandits. That's where we left off. So let's dive right on in, chapter 125. Our cover here is of Shirayuki and Ryu on a walk. Master and pupil on a walk into the dawn. It's a cute little thing. We pick up pretty much where we left off, as in the aftermath of burning the paper, Kageya knocks over the brazier that had the fire in it, and as a result sets the greenhouse alight. So that whatever this grand scheme is, they can't actually recreate the medicine. All the plants are burned up. Also, the bandits are still there. They can't move as the greenhouse starts to burn, I think. Anyway, she turns to Ryu and asks, "Can you stand? It's all right now. They won't be able to get up for a while. You drank something different, so you'll be okay." Oh, okay. So I see what happened here. The reason Ryu can move is because what she gave Ryu last chapter, saying it was a painkiller. Kageya has the line, "You deceived them when you said it was a painkiller, didn't you?" And Ryu tells her, "I thought you probably had a plan." So that stopped whatever sort of paralysis drug she released by burning the paper, I think. The question that still raises, to me at least, is she just set this greenhouse on fire, but they don't seem terribly concerned about that, and it seems like somehow that fire was very contained? I don't know. Anyway, Kageya tells him, "Yes, there's something I have to see through to the end. Will you help me with one last thing? Please, I need this medicine delivered to someone." She hands him the medicine she just brewed, and Ryu questions, "Sir Yozumi?" And Kageya, of course, does not know that Ryu is involved in this plot at all. She's just been dealing with him as this kid that she doesn't want to, whose death she does not want on her conscience. And Kageya is stunned to realize that Ryu knows who she's talking about. And Ryu goes on, "I met him at Lord Rugilia's home. I'm searching for a cure for him." And Kageya is just shocked at the coincidence here. And Ryu asks, "You're Miss Kageya Elise?" As opposed to answering, Kageya just asks, "And you are Ryu?" And Kageya tells him, "Ryu, get away from here. There's something I have to settle before the fire consumes." So the fire is still going. That was not just immediately abandoned. Though again, that makes Kageya's line on page 3 about they won't be able to get up for a while kind of a weird thing to focus on when they're all about to burn to death. But Ryu protests, "I won't. You shouldn't be able to move now either. Let's go." And he turns back and he sees the fire slowly growing in the greenhouse. And he looks around and he sees a plant that he pulls out. And he's brewing another antidote for Kageya right now as the greenhouse is burning around him. And he hands it to her. "Drink this. It should help some." And she does. And then sort of to ask how Ryu knows this info so well. "They said you were good with medicines." And Ryu takes a moment and then tells her, "I'm a court pharmacist." And then it looks like Ryu's eyes start to water. And I'm not sure if there's an emotional reason for that or just the flames are getting to him. But he wipes his eyes. "But I should have practiced the sword or learned how to ride a horse. If I had..." Oh, it's regret. It's that if he had done something else, if he had focused on a bit more of a physical activity, he might have been able to stop them from getting in this situation. But Kaguya is just confused. "The sword and horses? Did you want to be a knight?" And Ryu takes this moment of not answering before responding, No, but And Kageya pauses and responds, I see. If one were to have all the skills that others have, that person would never lose to another. But I don't know a single person like that. So yeah, she's sort of being like, look, you don't have to, you have the things you're good at, and that's good. You're never going to have every skill ever. Even if the skills you do have weren't super helpful for the bulk of this incident, it did end up saving Kageya at the end. So it's hard to say it was a mistake. Do what you're capable of. If you can help someone with those skills, it's a wonderful thing. Isn't there someone you know like that? And Ryu takes a moment and, through the tears, just comments, so many of them. And then we cut back to Shirayuki. As they're still headed towards the greenhouse, they see this sign. She calls back to Shirayuki, she calls back to Obi. There are no trespassing signs everywhere. The knights put them up. And Obi just tells her, they must be fakes. And Eisetsu chimes in, good. Then there must be something secret up ahead. And they get closer and closer to the greenhouse. Is that it? But they're not there yet. But Shirayuki notices the grass is a bit more tame here. Obi, it looks cultivated here. What? And looking around, we see there's like a bit more, I guess there's a bit more control to the plant life or something. Because Obi looks around. There are herbs here I recognize too, she's right. And Eisetsu comments, then this must be, and they see like a trap door in like the side of the, like a pile of rocks. And they open it, revealing a secret passage underground. A ladder, a secret passage underground. Obi jumps down into it. As does Eisetsu and Shirayuki. And Obi like gazes down the tunnel. It seems to lead in the direction of the greenhouse. And Eisetsu comments, an escape route, probably. I don't like this. Both of you, keep on for the greenhouse. I'll take this route. Okay, so I think, again, they don't know what's happened at the greenhouse. So I guess, what does Eisetsu expect to find here in particular? Does he expect, like, the bandits to have already made an escape in this direction? Like, through the tunnel? I don't know. But Shirayuki protests, and Eisetsu cuts her off, we can't ignore this. Though I'd be quite reassured if you let me Sir Obi. But Obi just counters, what a shame, as he's not doing that. And Shirayuki climbs up the ladder again. Wait here for a moment. And she pulls out some plants from outside and hands it to Eisetsu, and reminds him, don't forget what happened at the soiree. If you sense anything amiss, please turn back. And Eisetsu goes ahead and takes a bite of the plant that like woke them up at the soiree. And Shirayuki and Obi ride off above ground to the greenhouse as Eisetsu takes the tunnel and sort of has this moment alone with his thoughts. As he just slowly, like there's this, we spend a good deal of time, I want to compare these two sets of panels here on page 17 and the top of 18. Because we have a pretty simple two panels here. Obi and Shirayuki back on their horse as they head towards the greenhouse. And then we have twice that many panels with Eisetsu. One with him just standing in the cave, looking sort of dejected ahead, and like he's taking a breath and then slowly walks forward. I think maybe Eisetsu was expecting to find something or someone in the tunnel that he's not told anyone else yet. I don't know. But back with Kageya and Ryu, Kageya tells Ryu, let's get out of here. Hurry. And she tries to stand and then collapses. I guess Ryu's medicine didn't like fully cure her of the paralysis. But Ryu tells her, hold on to me. And then we see this like last shot of the bandits just lying amid the fire. And it seemed like Ryu is thinking about saving them. To stop the fire, we need water. But it would take too much time. So yeah, but like, he doesn't really see a way to save them. But they make it outside. Ryu takes this deep breath of fresh air. And the door slams behind him. And Kageya stayed behind. I don't really know why. And Ryu just bangs on the door. Lady Kageya! Lady Kageya! And Kageya just like holds the door back and tells Ryu, their allies will surely come back for them. You must get away quickly. Follow the stream, it will guide you. Please run! What is her goal here? What does she want? Like, why is this some like suicide goal or something? Like she feels responsible for this whole incident? I feel like the whole, like, I'm trying to find a way to phrase this. Because at times, how do I phrase this right? It just sort of feels like we haven't really seen the scope of what Kageya has caused. For, like, if this is some sort of, sacrifices herself as atonement for her sins don't really seem that big, if you understand what I'm saying, It doesn't seem like she's done anything too terrible. But Ryu sort of takes a moment and then does leave. And Kageya just sort of breathes. As we have this like contrasting panel of Ryu running down towards the stream and Kageya heading into the greenhouse. And then as Ryu was like running, he grabs this rock. Oh, I think it's not. So I do want to say though, there's something in the way these two panels, it might be complete pulling at strings here, pulling at nothing here. But it's the way that, like, on the bottom two panels of 21, Ryu's legs and Kageya's, both their feet are pointing at each other. Like, Ryu, to a certain extent, is heading towards Kageya. Because the next panel of Ryu, we have him grabbing this rock. And then it looks like he turns around. It might just be the camera, so to speak, switches directions. But I don't know. He might be heading back to, like, rescue Kageya? But, like, a rock... Like, she chose to stay behind. She's not locked in there. I don't know. Then we cut to Kageya. Honestly, I'm such a failure. And he just, like, kneels amidst the flames. And letting people protect me and protecting others. Why am I so terrible at everything I do? Also, going back to I just remember Kageya and fires. Because her whole backstory... When Eisetsu found her on the side of the road was right after the manor she worked at burned down. And the way she's, like, so upset at this fire. Maybe she was, like, accidentally, to be sure, but accidentally responsible for that fire. But she just sits there and cries. And we have this image of I'm assuming this is Eisetsu. Because we see, like, darkness, but maybe darkness being lit by a lantern, perhaps. A sword and a cloak. And then that sword... Oh, no. I think this might be... I think that's the sword that the bandit leader threatened Ryu with. I think maybe Kageya's grabbed the sword. But I was right about Ryu coming back. Because he's back at the door with the rock. And as he, like, goes to, like, slam it into the door and try to break it open... That injury he got from the bandit leader a couple chapters ago hurts him. And he ends up dropping the rock. And then as he goes to pick up the rock, we hear someone call, Ryu! And he turns back, and it's Shirayuki and Obi, who's also there. Strangely, both their faces are hidden, but there's no one else it could be. As Obi just asks, we need to break it? And Ryu, just with tears in his eyes at, like, the salivation his friends have brought him. It's really sweet. Just mutters, yeah. And Obi tells him, I'm on it. Stand back. And Shirayuki, like, reaches out for Ryu and just, for some reason, that activated Siri on my phone. But she reaches out for Ryu and just hugs him from behind. That's a sweet moment. It'll take a lot in these last 14 pages to, like, make that not the thumbnail. It's just a good bit. It's a good fucking reunion right there. And Ryu calls back, Shirayuki. And Shirayuki looks at him just, like, crying. For some reason, saying Shirayuki activates Siri. Don't know why. That's the second time now. But anyway, Obi just sort of readies himself and kicks the door open. Right as we see, actually, was Kageya? Because we cut to, I think Eisetsu has also arrived. Because there's this, like, black cloak that doesn't seem to be coming from the direction where the door would be. I think that Eisetsu arrived just at the same time. And one of them calls Lady Kageya. But we see Kageya, she has the sword, sure. But it doesn't quite look like that's aimed at herself. I think she might have been about to kill the bandits. But it is Eisetsu who finds her as she's about to do this. And Kageya just, stares at him in like, surprise that he came back. And he kneels in front of her and just repeats again, Lady Kageya. And there's this moment as she's just too stunned to say anything. And Kageya grabs the blade of the sword. And Kageya is just, like, tearing up now. Okay, here's a strong contender for the other thumbnail pic. As Eisetsu just says, "I only ever find you once you've been crying, don't I?" Calling all the way back to their first meeting, which admittedly was only like 4 chapters ago in series release, but still, they're like years of friendship. And Obi busts in, "Lord Eisetsu!" And Eisetsu calls back, "We must get outside. Sir Obi, Shirayuki, help me!" And then we see... Oh, I think they save the bandits, too. The bandits, they just sort of, like, drop outside. They can't move, but they're not going to die like this. And with that, Obi calls to Ryu. "Hello, Ryu. What happened to Sir Shuu?" And Shuu sort of looks at him before responding, "There were people who stopped the carriage. They had swords. The 2 of them allowed me to escape. I don't know after that." Right, because Shuu and Yozumi are still missing. They had swords belonging to the Night Sorter that Sir Yozumi belongs to. And then Obi turns to the bandits. "You know where Yozumi Elise is right now, don't you?" And Kageya is just sort of... You know, I think this is the first she's heard, I think, that Yozumi was caught up in the attack. I think this might be the first thing... This might be the first time she's heard of the attack, now that I think about it. So she's just stunned to know that Yozumi's been involved in some incident. But the bandit leader tells him that Knight is a criminal. You want to know where he's going to die? And there is nothing Yozumi has done to imply that he's a criminal. We don't know anything about why he might be a criminal, unless I implied a few minutes ago that it might have been Kageya who caused the fire right at her old workplace. Maybe it was Yozumi? I don't know. That's the only criminal action he could possibly be involved in. But Ryu, Shirayuki, and Obi are all kind of startled at that sort of declaration. And then another bandit arrives on horseback. Obi sort of like, moves in front of Eisetsu. And the new bandit looks at his comrades. "Damn, what's happened?" And then he also... Or maybe he pulls down his mask and, like, whistles. I guess for reinforcements. "Come, we can grab the woman." And Shirayuki turns to Ryu. "Ryu, can you move?" And Ryu just sort of nods, I guess. We don't really see it, but I assume so. Because she then turns to Kageya. "Lady Kageya, please hold on to me." And Eisetsu just sort of acknowledges Shirayuki. "Shirayuki." And Kageya has this moment of, like, panic as a whole, like, quartet of bandits arrive. Kill the rest of them. And Obi's, like, ready for a fight. Shirayuki's a little nervous now. And we see just, like, the lower half of Eisetsu's face. And then we see... I think, is that still the same Shuu we saw in Eisetsu on page 18 or so? Right? It might be. So this is still Eisetsu, like, stepping forward again to defend Kageya, I guess. Hey. Eisetsu calls out, "Hey, it seems you haven't grasped the situation, spouting off from atop your horses. Isn't there something you need to take care of before you get the lady in your hands? Before you is a rare sight. I'm the head of House Rugilia." And that gets their attention. "Rugilia's head? This is where you were? And furthermore, I have a knight under the direct control of the prince here at my side. Know that you have nowhere to hide here in the northern country." And there's like a moment of shock at, like, Eisetsu just, like, leveraging Obi like that. As the new leader gets a little nervous. And Shirayuki's just like, oh, he's really going for it now. And Obi sort of looks at Eisetsu and then sighs, "Indeed." And then unsheaths his dagger. "I'll take you all in and make you bow your head to my master." And that gets the bandits a little nervous. As Eisetsu calls back, "Lady Kageya, I'm sorry to have left you alone." And Shirayuki tells Ryu and Eisetsu, "Let's go. Sir Yozumi and Shuu should be here in the north. We can go rescue them." How big is the north? Like, I figure that Clariness was a fairly sizable country, so the north is not the sort of thing you can just, like, check in a day. But either way, this sort of leaves us off with Eisetsu and Obi dealing with, like, the more offense threat, while Shirayuki, Ryu, and Kageya escape and also find Yozumi and Shuu. And there's this moment as Ryu and Kageya, like, look into the eyes of their savior, and they all huddle off to go find Kageya and... Not Kageya, to find Shuu and Yozumi, as Eisetsu and Obi stare down their attackers. To be continued. Okay, there's just a lot of good stuff in here. There's a lot of, like, little moments in the way that, like the specific images that Sarada focuses on that leaves a lot of things in question. You know, there's the bit with, like, the sword. How, even at the end, we're not quite sure what Kageya was going to do there. Kill herself or kill the soldier. And then there's that, like, sort of the parallel I noted earlier on 17 and 18, as we see what I'm just sort of reading as Eisetsu's nervousness at seeing Kageya again. So there's some good shit there. But all in all, there's just a lot of good things here. You know, Ryu sort of, it's, a bit of it is just getting Kageya on the same page as everyone else. It's just like, what the hell is going on in this arc? Because no one knows everything. And it's to Sarada's credit that, like, it's really easy to like, keep track of who knows what, and everyone acts on the information that they have and not the full knowledge of the plot. But, like, that also means that characters have to variously learn all the things that everyone else already knows. As I assume we'll all get to take part in once we finally find out what the hell is going on with the whole... Like, what exactly is the conspirators' goal here? There's some more sweet moments here. I like, you know, Shirayuki giving Eisetsu, like, antidote plants just in case anything bad happens again. It's a nice callback to their time together. It does really feel like this arc is moving into a climax, even if a lot of the answers are still sort of unsaid. But also, more things I just really loved. I love the Eisetsu Kageya reunion. It's just a good, like, it's just sweet. It's just really nice. I think they're fun. I hope they find happiness in the end. In the end of this arc, I hope they're happy. It's just a good moment. I keep looking at that. I only ever find you once you've been crying, don't I? Like, the way he's lit there, even in the black and white, it still shows really well. Like, the way the fire dances off his hair. It's really good. It's just good drawing there. Well, yeah, there's a bit more of a violent threat. As some more bandits arrive. And this time, you know, it's not a surprise attack. And, like, there are trained fighters here with Obi and Eisetsu. And so they should be fine. They'll be fine. As Shirayuki and Kageya and Ryu go to find Shuu and Yozumi. And from there, I think finally put this whole drama to rest. I still have to find out whatever the hell the Burgout twins have uncovered, because I'm still a little unclear as to that. But beyond that, it does feel like this arc is starting to wrap up. Very slow. Like, we're not like right at the end. You know, it might be a few more chapters. But yeah, it really does feel like we're starting to near the end here, and I'm excited to see how this plays out. So a lot of good stuff here. Good to see the gang back together. But also a lot of hype and a lot of tension building into the next phase of this arc. And I can't wait to see how all that plays out next time. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes it happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!